everyone. So I haven't done a video in a while. The last video I did was of Kylie and her going to school. Thank you so much for the feedback that I got from everyone. I had a whole bunch of laughs because everybody was laughing at me crying. Boo-hoo, I know. But Kylie's doing great with school. I'm going to do an update video with her on how she's feeling about school and everything. And just to let everybody know, she didn't cry after that. That was the last time she cried, and she likes going to school now. So I know you can see from the title of this video that this video is how I found out I had viral meningitis. Viral meningitis. When I hear of viral meningitis, the first thing I thought of was like, there was a commercial a while back when I was like in high school where it was like, oh, you can get meningitis from kissing and hugging and all this other stuff, and it was like a warning sign for all the teenagers not to kiss each other, pretty much, because you can get meningitis and it can cause you to have brain damage and all this other stuff. So when I heard of meningitis, you know, when the doctors first told me, I was like, I don't have viral meningitis. My neck not hurting, you know, and I ain't been kissing nobody but my husband, so I know I don't have viral meningitis. So basically, this is the story about how I found out I have viral meningitis. So on September the 5th, I woke up with a headache, and it was a throbbing headache. It wasn't really bad. It was enough that I felt it. I took some medication. I went throughout my day, and I was just like, okay, you know, hopefully I can sleep it off. I went to bed that night, didn't think about it anymore. Woke up the next morning, and the headache was 5 times worse than what it was the day before. So basically at that point I said, okay, something's not right. I don't usually get migraines, and I do have a brain tumor on my pituitary gland, so I was thinking that maybe that was where the headache was coming from. So at that point I was like, I know I was already trying to get this checked out, but I really need to get it checked out now. So I ended up going to the emergency room, sitting there for a couple of hours. I was seen by the doctor. They did a CT scan, and after they did the CT scan, the doctor basically came in and told me, hey, you're having migraines. I can't get your pain level to a 0. If I can get your pain level to a 2 or 3, would you be willing to leave? I wanted to say no, because I felt like something had to be going on for me to have migraines, because I don't normally have migraines. I'm like, who are you to tell me that you can't get my pain level down to a 0 when you a doctor? You supposed to be able to find out whatever's going on. Like, that's why I came to you. If I could have self-diagnosed myself and said I had a migraine, I need you to tell me what's going on. So at that point, I didn't want to leave, but of course I went on ahead and left because you know, I was just like, well, maybe they know what they're talking about, and I'll go see my primary care doctor or whatever. But before I left, they checked my stats, and I heard the nurse tell the doctor that my temperature had spiked. And at that point, I'm like, I hear y'all talking, but y'all just gonna act like I can't hear y'all? So I called the nurse in the room and I said, what's going on with my status? And she said, oh no, nothing, you're good. The doctor basically told the nurse, hey, she's fine, don't worry about it, go ahead and send her home. So I go home, head is still pounding. Y'all, when I was in that emergency room, they gave me Tramadol, they gave me a steroid to reduce the swelling, they said, from the migraine. And they gave me Tramadol, and I was still in pain. Even after all of that medication and them drugging me up and me feeling like I'm high in the clouds, yes, I was still having the headache. I went home, I ended up laying down, and the pain got to the point where it was unbearable. I remember my head just throbbing, like it felt like somebody was taking my head and trying to mold my brain and just putting all this pressure on it, and it was hurting. It was hurting. It was hurting to the point that I literally was like, if I had a choice of whether or not to give birth to 3 children back to back, skip the 9 months, just give birth to 3 children back to back and have a labor of like 8 hours, I would take it over having that pain. And I delivered my children natural, so it was painful. It was excruciating pain. And I remember basically not necessarily blacking out, but I was in so much pain that I couldn't hear anything, and I was just in this zone of pure agony. And I remember crying out to God, and I asked God why. I told you yes. I'm trying to be obedient. I'm trying to do all the things you told me to do. Why would you allow this to happen to me right now? And you know, I had a full-on conversation with God. That's how much pain I was in. I was in so much pain. So I asked him, I said, well, why would you do this now? And God said, this was the only way I can get your attention. And I was like, well, that's right. Because, yeah, I do have a lot going on in my mind. So, you know, this was the only way I could get your attention. I remember saying, but this is too much. And I remember him saying, I would never put more on you than you can bear. So, you know, after having a full conversation with God, Ronald, my husband, was sitting right there next to me. He can equate, because I was literally asking questions and God was answering them, and I was basically having communication with God out loud. And I remember my husband sitting there and he was like, what's going on? And I was like, I just kept talking. I remember hearing him ask me what's going on, but I don't remember even if I answered him. So basically after that, I ended up going to the emergency room. At that point I had a temperature, my head was pounding, and while I was in the emergency room, a family lost their mother. It was at that moment that I realized something about myself, and I think I needed to witness that, because you know, I've been battling with my father passing away since I was basically 16, and when my father passed away, I didn't mourn his death. And I didn't mourn his death because I felt like I had to be strong. My mother was mourning, everyone around me was mourning, and I just felt like I had to be the one that was strong. And it's not necessarily that I wasn't sad about my father's death. I think I was just in this mode of, I have to be the strong one. And I remember when my father passed, his body was still where he had passed, and he had went to someone's house basically to give a wheelchair. He was the church van driver at my church at the time, and he had driven the church van to deliver a wheelchair. And when he went to give the young lady a hug that he was bringing the wheelchair to, he slumped down and had a heart attack. Before he hit the floor, he was dead. So when I went in the room and I saw his body laying there, I remember just laying on top of him and not believing that he was really dead. And I prayed for my family. At that very moment, I prayed. I cried out to God and I prayed. But I never mourned his death. And I think that at that moment when I saw that family mourning and I saw their reactions, and I just thought back to that, and I was like, this is what everybody was afraid that I was going to do. And at that moment I was like, I haven't mourned him. That's why I'm stuck in the mindset of a 16-year-old, because I haven't really let go of the fact that he's not here. Like, sometimes I would find myself wishing he was still here for my children, and reminiscing, and you know, just thinking like all of this stuff. Now all of this is going on while I have the worst headache of my life. I'm sitting there and processing all of this stuff. And I think that at that moment, that's when I realized that at 16 was when I stopped taking care of myself. At 16 years old, I stopped taking care of myself, and I became a caregiver to those who were around me. I felt like I had to care for my mom. I had to care for my brother. I just felt like I was a caregiver. You know, that was a decision I made. So literally, I'm going through this process of the meningitis, but I'm in so much pain that I was thinking clearer than I normally would, if that makes sense. So in a nutshell, went back to the ER. When I got back there, they did a botched spinal tap. Never let the ER doctors do a spinal tap. Don't do it. Don't do it. It's painful. It hurts. Let them do it. They have a radiology way. They have an x-ray that they could do where they can do your spinal tap and know specifically where it needs to go. Do that. Don't do the ER, because they jacked me up. But anyway, you know, even while I was in pain and I was processing everything, I was in the hospital for 5 days. You know, it was a mess. When they first said that I had viral meningitis, I said, no, I don't have that, because because I'm thinking I ain't kiss nobody, I ain't do none of that stuff, I'm good. Like, I'm good. But basically, I went ahead and looked up the definition to give you the proper definition. But basically, it's a severe headache with stiffness of the neck, and normally you would have a fever, which I had everything but really the stiff neck. When I got to about here, tucking my, if you can't touch your chin to your chest without pain, you might have viral meningitis. And basically viral meningitis is inflammation of the brain and spinal cord membranes, typically caused by an infection. So how I got it, I don't know 100%. All I know is that my immune system has been broken down. 9 times out of 10, that's due to everything that I have else that's going on with my body. So my goal now is to, of course, build up my immune system. Basically, somebody else, you can carry an enterovirus that can cause you to have viral meningitis and not get sick. I just so happened to have a weakened immune system and I got sick. Of course, you know, the first thing I was thinking is, what about my kids, my husband, you know. But viral meningitis is not contagious once you have it. The enterovirus is what causes the meningitis, if that makes sense. So if somebody has an enterovirus next to you and your immune system is broken down, 9 times 10 you can catch it. And so that's basically what happened to me. And so I'm saying all of that to say this: as moms, as wives, as caregivers, a lot of times we don't take care of ourselves. If you feel like there's something wrong going with you, you need to go to the doctor. Whether it be a situation where you can't conceive, you know, you're gaining weight and you don't know why, if you changed your eating habits, you know, whatever it is, get it checked out, because you just never know. I don't believe that medicine is the cure-all, end-all, be-all of everything. I don't, because even with me and going through the things with my tumor, I'm finding out what's going on with my body so that God can give me strategy for healing. That's what the process I'm going through right now. So don't think of it as like, if you're scared to find out what's going on with you, you still need to go, because God can give you strategy for healing. So I'm going to the doctors now. I have about 4 appointments coming up, and I'm going to the doctors now because guess what? I know that God, he really has already given me strategy for healing, but I need to know what's going on with my body so that I can target it and so that I can walk out that strategy. So don't be afraid to go to the doctor. Go to the doctor, get checked up. You never know what it could be, because when they told me it was viral meningitis, I was like, boo-hoo, not me. Not me. But it was me. And so I'm saying all of that to say thank you so much for watching. If you take anything from this video, please just go get checked out. Just go get checked out. Viral meningitis and enteroviruses are most active during the summer and fall seasons. So this is literally prime season for it. So ways that you can protect yourself: make sure you wash your hands. Make sure you wash your hands. Walk around with hand sanitizer. I'm currently now walking around with hand sanitizer everywhere that I go. Be careful about touching things and then touching your face. If somebody is sick and they're coughing, when you cough, do not cough into your hand. That's not the proper way to cough. Either cough, like if you have a long sleeve shirt or something, cough into the your elbow region, or into, they told me the sleeve of your shirt. So like if you are sick or anybody else is sick around you, just make sure you stay home. Don't go out. If you know somebody else is sick at home and you know they have maybe a cold or something like that, just be careful, because enteroviruses enter through those different channels. It's better to be safe than sorry. Also, build up your immune system. I'm going to be putting up on my blog how I work to build up my immune system, because I know that mine was weakened. That's how I was able to get the viral meningitis. Vitamin C, drinking milk, take airborne. And I'm also going to be looking up some juicing and smoothie options for building up your immune system. So Google that. Start protecting yourself now in each and every season. So I want to say thank you so much for watching. I hope that this was informational. I hope that you learned from my mistake. Take care of yourself. You are not doing anybody justice by not taking care of yourself. So if you get anything from this video, I want to say take care of yourself. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe for more videos. I'm going to be doing some more videos with the kids soon. So thank you so much. From my heart to yours, thank you. Bye.